Ladies and gentlemen, before we start today's episode, I want to tell you about something really special. I'll be plugging it all season. A dear friend of the podcast, Elke, you've heard me talk about her before, and her artwork is amazing. I've posted the link to her website before, but she's done something a little bit special in celebration of Uriah Heep, and I want to share that with you guys so that you'll go check it out. She has painted a picture with an inspiration from each of the 24 Uriah Heep albums. And, you can't do 25 because it's not out yet. So the first 24 albums, and there are little sub-stories within these pictures, and each one talks about an individual song from one of the albums. And there's a little bit of a mystery to it. So it's a really fun adventure to go and look at the picture and see if you can figure out which song it references. A lot of fun. She's done a great job with it. She had the opportunity to present it to Mick, and now she's presenting it to you guys. So check out the link in the show notes. I've got it down there. You can also find it on the website, scotthaskin.com. Click on the Uriah Heep podcast. It'll be there towards the top with a little bit of a thumbnail of the actual picture that she's done. She's got the explanation. You can get with her on the answers, and it's absolutely amazing, guys. Go check it out. And now let's enjoy today's show. Welcome to Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I'll be covering every studio song the band has recorded and every bonus track that I can find. Each week we'll go over a new song from the beginning to where they are currently, and as they keep adding albums, I'll keep adding shows. Let the deep dive party begin.
In the magic garden, some were singing, some were dancing.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. I am your host, Scott Haskin, and we are working on season 24, covering Uriah Heep's 24th studio album called Living the Dream. Man, this album just came out on fire. So let's see what they do with song 2. The follow-up, the title track, Living the Dream. Here it is by Uriah Heep.
I got the sun and the moon on the one hand. Rise to the future, it's there to discover.
There aren't that many songs that really start out with vocals by themselves, especially that many layers. That really gave you a good idea of what Bernie actually puts into his tracks, because sometimes things blend in so well, you don't know how many tracks there are to really thicken things up. And, it's really amazing. I don't know if anyone else is singing with him on this part. I can't hear distinctive voices. I hear distinctive layers. But not necessarily who it might be singing. So that could just be Bernie by himself. It could be the band singing with him, or members of the band singing with him. But I love the sound of it. The other thing that's really cool is that it doesn't actually give anything away. It really doesn't give the tempo away, because you're just starting to lock in where he's at by the time that he stops. And 2, it could be what you would think of as just the basic beat. It could be double time. It could be half time, could be triplets. It could even be a shuffle at this point. We really don't know. So I like that we have an intro that gives us a little flavor, but really doesn't give anything about the song away just yet. I love the drum sound on this. That huge, fat-sounding snare just really works so well on this song. They work well on slower tempos. A lot of times on faster tempos, you really don't get the depth of a snare, but on a slower tempo like this, really you just feel the bottom end of that. I really like the riff. I like that it's short the first half, and the second half kind of extends over the one of the next measure. That's pretty cool. And I love the voice here. I think it sounds great. I like this kind of just slow, drawn out feel too, where you can really say, I'm relaxed and relishing in the story I'm telling you. That's pretty nice, I have to say. Yeah, good start.
I got both feet on the ground. I see the world turn around.
couple of nice notes coming through on bass guitar there. Dave's just playing up a little bit higher, a couple. And yeah, this is cool. I really just like the almost chill in the air feel to the music. And yet the vocals, they can be kind of haunting like this, but really the story they're telling leads me to say, it's more like they're saying, I'm really confident, I'm comfortable, I'm happy, I don't need anything, I don't need you getting in my way. You know, just having that edge. There has to be something there that they don't want to happen. But it's an interesting feel because it's a happy song, but with a real edge to it.
I got the sun and the moon on the one hand, stars as they're falling down in the other. You can rely on me to show you the way. I got the sun and the moon on the one hand, rise to the future, it's there to discover. The world is waiting, this is what you need.
Oh, nice fill there from Russell to take us into the next part. It's kind of interesting to have a double chorus so early in the song. I mean, usually you would have that maybe before the solo or, obviously at the end, as we've heard many times. But yeah, that's kind of interesting to have it there. They've done that a couple of times, as I recall, but it's not something that you hear a whole lot. So when you do hear it, it definitely catches my interest. But I love the feel of it. I love the organ swells in the background. The Hammond sounds so good on the song. And, with the riff that Mick is playing, they once again, the writing, they just jive so well together. I mean, these two are so perfectly comfortable as songwriters, as individual songwriters, but writing together, they've got it locked in.
It doesn't matter who you trust. The words are written in the dust. I've got the sun and the moon on the one hand, stars as they're falling down in the other. You can rely on me to show you the way.
It's really interesting because what I'm hearing is a guitar slightly to the left of center, and then I'm hearing one a little more towards the right of center, and then I'm hearing the organ a little more left of center than that one guitar track, but it also seems to fill the entire space. It's really weird, but I like the way it sounds.
The sun and the moon on the one hand, rise to the future, it's there to discover. The world is waiting, this is what you need.
Oh, that was cool. But let's backtrack. So the first half of that, when Russell switches to the toms, I love that part. I love the feel. It's very moody. It reminds me kind of music that we would hear like in the mid to late 60s when drummers were, they would do things like that a little bit more often. But what was weird for me was because that snare that I talked about is so thick and big in the mix, even though the toms were really big, when you take that snare away, it kind of feels empty until you've adjusted to that new rhythm. It doesn't transition as cleanly because all of a sudden you're just in a different world. And I like that. I like the abruptness of it. It took me by surprise. And that is pretty rare Although they have done it to me before, as you know, if you've been listening to the show for a while, every once in a while I'll go, well, that was unexpected, because it was unexpected. But I like the transition coming out of it. That was a really cool transition, going into Mick's solo and then coming out of that the way that they did with the choppy notes, but they were so tight together. Very, very well played. Another fantastic and exciting solo from Mick. I really feel like he was just in this one, you know, like I could feel him moving with the guitar and just really focused on it and just locked on to it. Is a very good solo. Really exciting and dramatic, I have to say. So let's, good God, let's see what happens next.
Forget the world I once knew. The dream is pulling me through. You give your all and you win. No second chance to begin.
Wow, that was awesome. That vocal pitch change really, really added so much more power and emotion to this part. I really like, too, that there's room. There's so much room in this riff. It's a very simple riff, but yet it's not at the same time. But it does give you open room for things to cut through, like those little organ swells and stuff we're hearing in the background. Dave and Russell are just keeping it solid and really supportive in this song, not doing anything too crazy. Sometimes you do that. Sometimes you lay back and you let everything else shine through and you just support. And other times you come through and you shine a little bit yourself. But this song, it seems like a simple song, but the riff just has such a good rhythm to it that you hear it playing when it's not playing anymore. You know, like after he stops playing, you're still hearing those eighth notes. Da, 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 da. You've got that pulse still going, even though he stopped. But you also are getting the introduction of that organ swell in that breath too. So it's very well crafted.
I've got the sun and the moon on the one hand, stars as they're falling down in the other. You can rely on me to show you the way. I've got the sun and the moon on the one hand, rise to the future, it's there to discover. The world is waiting, this is what you need.
You know, I want to say I'm hearing some guitar in the far left, and it's another like supporting rhythm guitar, I think. It's hard to tell. It's just cutting through here and there, but I'm pretty sure I'm hearing another one over there. But God, the song just sounds so massive, doesn't it? Just huge, like, something that just looms over you from an audio perspective. It feels like it's so much bigger than me. And that's a really weird thing to say. But it does. It just feels like it's huge and all around me. I really like it. Really thought we were going to have choruses all the way to the end, but no, we had one more change and a very cool one at that. Very energetic. I loved it. Very unexpected. And as I was saying, they still surprised me. For those of you who are trying to count that section, it was 11 and then 8. So if you go back and listen to that, just count 11 and 8 over and over again until the end. That last fill that leads into the organ ending of the song, that's the last 2 counts of the final 8. But very cool, very unexpected. I really like the feel of it. It felt off because they're doing, odd numbers. And, for some reason, we seem to be programmed on even numbers. At least I am, both as a musician and as a person. I tend to want things to end on an even number for some reason. I have no idea why. But whenever there's like 15 steps, it always just feels weird to me. Like it should have been 14 or 16. That might totally just be a me thing. But I love the way it washed into the final organ piece, which was gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Very moody tones, just a full, rich sound carrying the end of the song, and it just being the organ. Love the guitar fading out, the little vibrato on the strings going into that. Very cool. A great song. I mean, it certainly represents the album as the title track very, very well. But there's just so much energy and so much. I feel like empowered joy. Like I'm comfortable with where things are. I'm comfortable with where I've gotten in my life. This is, whatever that dream is for our character, they're living it and they're very proud of it. And they really feel like there's a shield around them and nothing could bounce off or nothing could hit them through it. It's just going to bounce off and hit the ground. That's the impression I get from it anyway. And God, it's such a cool song. Great album, just a great album overall. So far, we've hit 2 songs, home runs for both of them, and can't wait to get to the next one on Monday. But Monday is after the weekend. You guys have a fantastic weekend. Remember to do something good for yourself and take a moment to do something good for someone else, even if you just reach out to somebody you haven't talked to in a while and said, hey, I was thinking about you. Wanted to know how you're doing. You know why? Because I care. Take care, guys. Have a great weekend. Cheers. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Uriah Heep, the Magician's Podcast. If you have enjoyed this show, please consider going over to Apple Podcasts or your favorite podcast outlet, leaving a rating or a review. Be sure to subscribe to make sure that you are notified when new episodes are available. Please be sure to share this podcast with your fellow Uriah Heep enthusiasts and anyone who you think would like Uriah Heep, which should be everyone. And if you are so inclined, please feel free to contribute to the Patreon account. And if you are not a Patreon subscriber, you can also pay through the PayPal link on the website listed in the show links below. I would also like to thank Uriah Heep for their very generous support of the show, and thank you guys for listening. We'll see you in the next episode. Happy days!